containment will not work.
I agree with that. My personal position on that is this: we ought to try every possible avenue we can to see if we can get them to correct their desire and goal of acquiring a nuclear weapon, but we cannot let them acquire that weapon. We are the only country in the world that can stop that. The Israelis, in my opinion, do not have the capability of stopping it. They can delay it. But at the end of the day, if we don't get it done the way the administration's working on it now, which I totally agree with, then we ought to take them out.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, we're working hard. We're working hard.
I said at the end of the day may be next year. It will be next year.
Yeah, look,
I'm waiting.
Look. I think the president has been very, very clear on this. He has always said all options are on the table, and he means it.
They're having troubles now. The sanctions are not complete yet. We want to squeeze them down more, but they're having an effect.
And then
the sanctions are not complete yet. We want to squeeze them down more, but they're having an effect.
And then, frankly, there are those who are saying the best thing that could happen to us is be attacked by somebody. Just bring it on, because that would unify us. It would legitimize the regime. An argument is made constantly on the hard line side of the Iranian government that, we're not going to give anything up, and in fact, we're going to provoke an attack, because then we will be in power for as long as anyone can imagine.
And that's the reason I say, if anybody's going to do it, we ought to do it, because we have the capability of doing it.
And hopefully we won't get to that. I mean, that would be I think.
Hello everyone, welcome back to GGN. This is part 2 of this news bulletin for today, Wednesday, October 3rd, 2012. My website's ggnonline.com, and on YouTube, DDarko 2012 and DDarko 2013. Alright, sorry about this thing that's going on. It's my monitor, and all of a sudden it just started messing up along with my audio during that video. So, but just for time's sake, I'm just going to keep moving here. Destabilization Campaign. Israel warns Tehran of Egypt-style uprising from October 1st. Editor's note from StratRisk says Israel talks a big game, but in the final analysis, they want to push others to do the dirty work for them, lobbying Washington to bomb Iran. It says here, cutting deals with Iran's neighbors and covert tactics to destroy or destabilize them. They know the risk involved with attacking the country, and the power structure inside Tehran hopes that Israel will attack, like we were just saying. These actions will create a ripple effect across the Arab world, further isolating Israel and ensuring further attacks inside Tel Aviv. The only way that Iran will give up on nuclear energy and weaponry is to put boots on the ground, which opens a case of worms for anyone stupid enough to do it. And this is crazy. I actually just switched monitors to my bigger TV screen, and it's still like this. So this is my computer doing this. So say thanks Israel, thanks Zionists, thanks CIA, thanks NSA, whoever the hell can do stuff like this. This is modern technology at work right here, dude. When you start, this is the great American sweat and tears at work here, along with, of course, Israel's technology, and that to be able to tap into people's computers and do stuff like this and mess with their internet connections and stuff like that and cut off cell phone conversations. It's very, very crafty too. Very sneaky. I'm sure I'll have fun uploading these videos tonight. Israel finance minister says Iran economy on verge of collapse. So this is September 30th. I thought it was kind of ironic that September 30th, Israel's finance minister said Iran's economy is on the verge of collapse due to international sanctions. And then what happened? Well, just here we go. October 2nd, just a few days later, Iran currency falls 17% to a new low. So who has the flipping power to be able to do something like this, right? Iran's currency plummeted around 70% trading on Monday, according to media and an online exchange website, severely adding to strains on the Republic sanctions hit economy. So then, of course, you have what? Video unrest in Tehran over rial currency plunge. You can go in there and check out some of the videos as the destabilization begins. But then again, who knows if it's even happening, right? This could just not even be happening, and they could just be covering old protests or something, right? The BBC, Al Jazeera, they're known for doing that crap. Riot police clash with protesters in Iran today over the collapse of the rial, the country's currency, which has been hard hit by Western sanctions. They said that the police made many arrests and used tear gas to disperse protesters who had set fires to tires and trash bins in Tehran. So, but yeah, see, this is the thing, anti-government slogans. The real thing is they don't see it as a problem of the government. They see a problem of the West imposing sanctions on them. They don't look at it as far as the nuclear program goes. I remember reading that. Psychological war is behind Iran's economic problems as currency hits record low from October 3rd. It says here the Iranian government blames speculators for the rial's collapse and ordered the security services to take action against them. Ahmadinejad rejected criticism of his policies and insisted that the country could ride out the sanctions imposed because of Iran's nuclear program after the currency fell about a third of its value in a week. According to a report from one of the security services, 22 individuals are ringleaders of the recent turmoil in the currency market, and since these individuals are known, security institutions must act. President. So this is from October 3rd. Clinton says sanctions can be eased if Iran cooperates. So they just goes to show you who's causing this, right? See what they can do. Within days, they can just do this. So it says here, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton blames Iranian government, not Western sanctions, for the financial troubles in the wake of Tehran protest. And I just saw an article this past week about Israel calling on for more sanctions as well. Then I saw this article, EU hosting concrete talks on further Iran sanctions. The Post learns EU countries are mulling banning flights, blacklisting companies, and closing loopholes on businesses with the Iran central bank. Then you have, could Iran's enemies really be destroying its rain clouds from September 13th, 2012? So Ahmadinejad said the enemy destroys the clouds that are headed towards our country. It says here also that they're using special equipment to dump rainwater on their continent, leaving nothing for Iran. Then Baku will not facilitate Israel attack on Iran. This is, of course, Azerbaijan. Remember, we just talked about this. He said they will not allow Israel to use its airspace or land to carry out a military attack on Iran or any other country. So people are asking in the comment board, can you really trust them? And goes on, no one should believe what the Azeri ambassador says. In Pakistan, no means yes. Also, and nobody should have any doubt that it will not permit the use of its territory for committing acts of aggression against another OIC member. If this is what the ambassador said, then it is clear that he will let the Israelis use Azerbaijan to attack Iran or any other OIC member. But it's interesting because I found this article today. Baku denies refinery blast fatalities. The Azeri government is denying fatalities and injuries in an explosion at an oil refinery in the country, despite reports by witnesses that several people were killed and dozens more were wounded. Now, I do know that Israel does have the technology for these cyber-type attacks. You had oil refineries in Venezuela occurring as well, 2 in a month. Iran Navy commander, 75 million Iranians are ready for defense. The Islamic Republic of Iran possesses complete preparedness and stability, and this readiness exists in the Navy, ground, air defenses, says the commander. It says, and if we are faced with instance of military threat or intrusion, 75 million Iranians are prepared for defense, he said. Everyone knows that the enemies have united in every area among themselves, namely economic, against the Iranian nation and people, but the enemies of the Islamic Iran should know that Iranian nation rightly knows these games being played and the threats issued by the enemy and will decisively respond to these threats if need be. Then you have the Iranian MP, 60% enriched uranium production to start if talks fail. Highly enriched uranium would be fuel for nuclear submarines, but it goes on and it says that Iran will begin production of 60% enriched uranium if the current round of talks with the P5+1 fail. And the move may be seen by the West as a provocative step, though it should be pointed out that it still fails or falls well below the threshold needed to produce nuclear weapons, which is over 90% enriched. Mitt Romney, our brother Mitt, says he would indict Ahmadinejad for genocide incitement, says the video, speaking on board his campaign plane. He said that he would press for an indictment of the Iranian president on charges of inciting genocide. And a study claims thousands would die in an attack on Iran nuclear sites. It says a new report is trying to answer a question. It lists the Isfahan uranium conversion facility as one of the 4 Iranian sites likely to be targeted if Israel or the U.S. were to decide to take a military action in an effort to delay its nuclear program. It's estimated that up to 70,000 people would be killed or injured after being exposed to toxic plumes released by such strikes. They include people's skin being burnt, becoming blind, lungs being destroyed, along with their kidneys being damaged and other forms of skin cancer. Then international Christian lawmakers vow to stop Iranian nukes. They gathered for the Chairman's Conference of the International Israel Allies Caucus to sign a declaration of solidarity. But it's kind of crazy because just yesterday, anti-Christian graffiti sprayed on Jerusalem convent. Vandals have sprayed painted anti-Christian graffiti on the main door of the convent in Jerusalem. Jewish settlers and extremists have been carrying out so-called price tag attacks in retaliation for the Israeli government curbs on settlement growth. Or you can call it their expansion of occupied territory, whatever. U.S. warns European governments against supporting Palestinians at the UN. A private memo threatens significant negative consequences if Palestinian Authority succeeds in obtaining enhanced status. Again, you know where this is coming from, right? This has come from Israel. So, if you do, you're going to get blown up. Something's going to happen to you, right? A Navy ship prepares to intercept Gaza activist ship from Italy attempting to break security naval blockade around Gaza will be intercepted. So in other words, you'll have special forces from Mossad scaling down and attacking peaceful activists and that. Now, this is the big thing. We're talking about nuclear strikes, but someone made a good comment recently, which is there's a good chance that the public is being conditioned, and the sheeple being conditioned for a possibility of the U.S. banking system being hijacked, a cyber attack being blamed on Iran, having all of their mess of debt and all that crap erased, and starting whatever new system that they have, waiting in the wings. Because, it's just hard for me to believe that Iran is a sovereign nation, completely not tied to the global powers that be, that are not just playing into this big show, this big grand scheme. Because we both know, right, just based off reports from what Western leaders are saying, and the intelligence community, like CFR member Hillary Clinton just said, they're trying to provoke an attack, Iran is, so that they get their people to unite around them. Israel wants to do a direct attack, but the United States wants to do more covert ops like assassinations and cyber attacks. Then we have Google to users. Watch out for state-sponsored attacks. New warnings from Google pop-ups for thousands of users who log into their Google accounts and do searches. Don't be surprised if you see a warning that says state-sponsored attackers may be attempting to compromise your computer. They're issuing messages to thousands of users as it gains new intelligence about increased cyber attacks from countries in the Mideast. After the Georgia elections, the question is it a step towards stability? So with the Georgian people's vote, the message is undoubtedly more important for the supporters of ties with the U.S. and EU. The future government will not be the West ally, and it can no longer use Georgia's leverage to mount pressure on Russia. The newly elected president wrote a message to President Obama in which he denounced the policies of the current Georgian government, which calls for the U.S. to be more involved in overseas and their country. And after Russia recently ejected U.S. aid for basically interfering with their domestic affairs, now we have U.S. court charged 11 Russians with conspiracy to export high-tech electronics. So is it a little payback? North Korea, U.S. wants to occupy the entire Korean peninsula as stepping stone to dominate Asia. Then the North and South Korea are on the verge of nuclear war, warns a North Korean diplomat at the UN Assembly, while the American government forces the restart of the Japanese nuclear reactors after Japan said they would stop. Makes sense. Thank you.